Hi, and welcome back to 50 Shades of Blonde. I'm Missy Day.
And Jill Branson.
And we have somebody that may look familiar to the WCOBM family with us today, Robin Donaldson. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me on.
You're welcome.
It's a pleasure.
Well, we are so excited to have you here because I know there's a lot of people that want to know more about your boxes and about you in general, and what brought you to decide to start this.
Sure. Well, about 4.5 years ago, my husband died in a motorcycle accident. And I went through the grieving process, and even though, being a clinical psychologist, I knew everything up here, when it came to what I was actually experiencing and the support that I needed, it just felt like I was on another planet. Nothing really made sense. And going through, I spoke with other widows and other people that had lost loved ones, and it seemed that the theme was the same, is that people surrounding the person in grief, they don't really know how to help support or what they are supposed to do. And so I'm trying to figure out, okay, and it was a joke that my girlfriend and I, we were just talking after the holidays one year. I was like, oh, we need to do a subscription box, because I'd gotten subscription boxes for everybody in my family, it seemed, for Christmas. And I said they should have a subscription box for grief. And then a couple of days later, her father died. And I said, okay, this, I don't need more of a sign than that. Let's not have anybody else die to tell me that it's time to make this happen. And so started brainstorming, and now the company is almost 2 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's such I don't know, right now my niece just passed away.
Oh, no.
She passed away on July 4th.
Oh, geez,
And
so sorry.
I know that I've already gone through this with their mom, because my sister passed away when she was 53. It's been 20 some years ago, but I know how it's just different. It's different when you lose a parent. It's different when you lose a sibling. Each one is a little bit different.
Sure.
And like, I know you have boxes for anger. And we do get angry. We go through those stages.
Yeah.
And I especially love this one. And then you have one also that it's for pampering, basically.
Yes, self-care.
Self-care. And I love that. Because she left behind 2 other sisters and 2 brothers. And then, of course, her 2 boys, and the list goes on.
Right.
It's a pretty good-sized family. She was only 51 years old. So everyone that's left behind, obviously, is grieving in their own way. And to me, this is like the ultimate gift to be giving someone, especially if they're far away and you can't be there for whatever, the funeral or whatever, so the family get together.
Right.
And tell me a little bit more about the anger box. I want to know about that.
It's so funny. A lot of people ask about the anger box. And the anger box, just keep in mind that we still tweak boxes here and there, and I get great ideas from people that have ordered boxes or that I talk to. But the anger box is really designed to encourage healthy ways to get out your anger. So there's a coloring book, which is a very sort of meditative piece, allows you to focus on doing that with your hands as opposed to, wringing somebody's neck or something not so adaptive to society. We have the stress ball in there so that you can get out some of your frustration with that. And then there's a doll the cloth doll that you can hit. Now, the idea is that you're not actually going to, repeatedly hit, but if that feels good, just like punching or screaming into pillows can be very cathartic and helpful. That's the idea behind it. Although most people say that they don't use it for that purpose. They use it to look at and just, like, it kind of makes them laugh, go, oh, right, I'm angry, but, something about this little doll that people just realize, what, it's going to be okay. Let me go for a run. Let me go do something with that energy. And then there are little warheads, the little candies, as a reminder of like try not to end up looking like the little guy with all the steam coming out of his ears. Yes, because I always try to put something that that you can taste, something for the different senses, because that just really helps with to ground you with any really strong emotional experience. And anger is definitely one of those that you need a lot of grounding.
And how many boxes do you have? Isn't there like 5 or 6 different types?
Well, so originally, the plan was to have 12, and so conceptually there are 12, and I've created the 12 and have sent out the 12. But most people don't order, or they didn't order the 12-month, and so we took like a lot of those boxes off, kind of waiting until it becomes people are more used to this idea and are more open to wanting to get all the boxes, which is fine. But for right now, I think we've got 5 there that we include, 6 for the 6-month, obviously, but the ones that you can buy, we've got the self-care, the More Than Flowers, the anger box. The new one that we recently released is the Day in a Year, so the special days box. So, and that's great for birthdays of the deceased one, or what I like to call the departure date, so the date when they died, because it gives permission for them to have different ways to commemorate that particular day, which whatever it is, and there's so many usually with our loved ones that we miss. It allows you to make a note of that day and gives you different ideas of how you can do that.
Well, it's just so awesome. Now, do you manufacture them here, right? You put them
Yes.
together here?
I do. Yes, in
Okay.
Las Vegas.
And do you go out networking at different things, or, you know, like a regular network group? Or do you specifically, like, you have your show?
Right. Solo show, right.
And with your show, you're talking basically about that. I think your last guest was talking about when we lose a pet.
Right.
So you talk about all different types of grief.
Yep, different things that either pops into my head that would be grief related, and or people that I know that can talk about these grief issues. But important things, even like life insurance, you know, the stuff, pre-planning your funeral, things that nobody wants to talk about, but is still very, very important. And honestly, until you experience it, you don't know how much you
Right.
really needed to have known this. So I'm trying to get it out there in a way, and this is not like a mopey type of a thing. We laugh on the show, and you know, it's
Well, sure.
Yeah, it's
Because sometimes you have to have a sense of humor when it's things like this. Because
Absolutely.
it helps you to deal with it,
yes.
you know. And I can say that too, because I used to work in a doctor's office in a rural community where we used to have people
wow.
die in our office. And we
Right.
used to have to try to, unfortunately, make some jokes between each other, because you need to do something, you know, to get rid of that stress and detach yourself for, even if it's just a couple of minutes. But I think it's awesome what you've done. It's,
Thank you.
And you brought a lot of cool things that I want to make sure we
Yeah.
talk about before the
Yes.
segment ends.
Okay.
So let's talk about this little thing right here.
Yes.
and you freeze
You
that,
put it in the
yeah.
fridge or the freezer, and because when you grieve, you cry a whole heck of a lot. Your eyes get
Oh,
puffy.
There you go.
And you need something to kind of allow for those blood vessels and tissues to constrict, so that you know, it's a soothing piece.
And then what about these? Gin-gins.
Gin-gins, those are yummy. So often with grief, you have issues with appetite, you can be nauseous a lot, and so ginger is
ginger.
known to help with nausea, and so these are little candies to, you know, you just keep them in your purse or a little something for whenever you might need it.
Very cool. And let's talk about the cards that you were showing us, which I think is a really great idea. You mentioned something that I really liked, and you talked about giving permission, that we need to give ourselves permission to grieve.
Yes.
I know a lot of people that don't. So let's talk about the cards.
Sure. Each card, there are 52 of them to go with each week of the year. Every box has like 4 or 5. and it gives you permission for a lot of different stuff. When I was first widowed, I would say, I am playing the widow card today. I am not taking a shower, or I'm playing the widow card today. And then I said, hey, wait a minute, it shouldn't just be the widows that get to play the widow card. Let's just have grief cards, and you get to play the grief card, so that was the idea behind it. And so each of them, being able to read in black and white that you're allowed to grieve how you need to grieve is so powerful, and that is what I wanted to be able to give people.
Right. Very cool.
Oh, that's great.
Oh dear.
Hello. Whoops. You're on the show now.
Oh, and then what else do you have in your box over there?
Gotcha.
That we can
So-
talk about.
Yeah, so the More Than Flowers, there's a journal that we put in here with little journaling prompts. So different ideas where you can write about how you are feeling, but it's also a way, because when you're in that intense grief, you have what we call cog fog. So you can't remember things as well, your brain's not concentrating. So here you can write down notes, whatever notes that you need, and you have at your disposal. It also has a little pen holder, so you're never, randomly looking for that, or you forget your pen because, again, cog fog. A nice little grief relief oil. Go ahead and take a sniff of that. I did some research into which essential oils would help with calming, would help with anxiety, would help with a depressed state, and put it together with some coconut oil, and so that way, because scent, again, that grounding piece, it allows you to relax. And then Rescue Pastels, Rescue Remedy, these are just natural stress relief, non-habit forming. These were lifesavers for me when I was grieving, just, and they taste pretty good too. So similar, also I think they had a nice effect on the digestion too, which can be an issue. Thank you cards, because after the funeral, after people have sent you flowers or sent you a Solace Club box, you're gonna go out, you're gonna run out of your own thank you cards, and so this just gives you a couple of extras in case you need those.
Nice.
And then little tissues and a remembrance bracelet. So some folks really like these bracelets because it's something that you can wear. Nowadays, we don't have the bands that people wear, but this is a hearkening to that era and that time, but it's more modern. So I liked the idea, so I thought I would include it. And then in here is the envelope where there's always a description of, and this is what I've written to explain the box and the purpose behind it and what's in it, and just some encouraging words there. A condolence card from us to the person, the grief cards, 4 of those, and yeah, I think that is, that's what we have in the little, open to learn more about your box piece. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing all this with us. We
Yes.
appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, because it's one more way to encourage better support for people in grief.
And if you want to contact Robin, her information is at the bottom of the screen if you'd like to reach out to her and get more information about Solace Club. And stay tuned for our next segment.